Number 10. Harry's misconduct. Back in 2005, Prince Harry attended a costume party dressed as a Nazi. This is a risky enough outfit for anyone, let alone a British royal. Of course, pictures from the party were leaked to the press, who plastered it all over their front pages. Harry, who was 20 years old at the time, really should have known better, but he still made a public apology from his royal offices, which read, "Prince Harry has apologized for any offense or embarrassment he has caused. He realizes it was a poor choice of costume." But the papers held onto the story for quite some time, and it caused widespread outrage worldwide. Then 4 years later, in 2009, the prince was dealt another huge blow to his reputation when a tape emerged of him using racial slurs against members of his own army platoon. In the video, you can hear the prince using offensive language as well as racist terms. Once again, Harry had to make a public apology to try and save the royal family from further embarrassment. It didn't work, and the footage was relentlessly replayed around the world. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Prince Andrew's friend. The disgraced prince is no stranger to controversy. In 2011, it emerged that he was good friends with convicted sex offender and American financier Jeffrey Epstein. He was married to Sarah Ferguson, who came forward confirming their friendship and revealed that her ex-husband had asked Epstein to clear some of her debts. Although he later reported that he had cut all ties with Epstein, Buckingham Palace came under new pressure to explain their relationship with the American in 2015. The royal family has since tried to distance themselves from Andrew when his disturbing ties became public, and there was a civil case brought against him. Not long after that, it was announced that he would be stripped of his military titles and royal patronages, and would no longer be allowed to use the title His Royal Highness in any official capacity. The trouble is that no one really knows the full extent of Andrew's involvement with Epstein, but the public mood still seems so set against him that he will likely not be able to return to public life for quite some time. Number 8. The Hidden Cousins. In 2011, an explosive documentary was released called The Queen's Hidden Cousins, which revealed a scandal that has avoided the public eye for decades. In the 1940s, mental illness was not understood as much as it is today, and so the royal family viewed it as an embarrassment when two of the Queen's first cousins, Nerissa and Catherine Bowles-Lyon, were born with severe learning difficulties. Born in 1919 and 1926 respectively, Nerissa and Catherine were never able to be a part of the royal family. Instead, they were incarcerated in a mental institution in 1941 and remained in care there for the rest of their lives. In the documentary, nurses who oversaw them categorically stated that no members of the family ever came to visit the two sisters, who were unable to articulate speech but apparently had a great spirit about them. When the story of the sisters' existence was published in 1987, a scandal instantly erupted when it emerged that the royal family had apparently erased two of its members from their lives entirely. Number 7. Diana's biography. It's no secret that Prince Charles and Diana had a terrible marriage, but unlike many royals, Diana was vocal about her private affairs. We know that she felt like a total outsider within the royal family and felt like a prisoner trapped in a loveless marriage. In Diana's biography, she recounted a desperate time when she felt truly shut out by her husband. Quote, "Charles said I was crying wolf. I said I felt so desperate I was crying my eyes out, and he said, I'm not going to listen, you're always doing this to me. I'm going to go riding now. So I threw myself down the stairs." She ended up falling right at the Queen's feet, and as it turns out, Elizabeth and Charles had nearly polar opposite reactions to her cry for help. According to Diana, the Queen comes out absolutely horrified, shaking, she was so frightened. Diana said that she was quite bruised around the stomach, but when Charles came back from riding, he just dismissed the whole incident and carried on out the door. Number 6. The hospital incident. Charles has always had a bit of a rocky relationship when it comes to being a father to his two sons William and Harry, although nothing really displayed his attitude as a parent more than the hospital incident in 1991, when an 8-year-old Prince William underwent emergency surgery for a skull fracture. The little prince was hit on the head with a golf club while playing with schoolmates. The injury was so serious that he was kept overnight at London's Great Ormond Street Hospital following an hour-long operation. Princess Diana spent the night sleeping in a bed set up near William's room so she could look after her son, whereas Prince Charles took a different approach entirely. Rather than stay and comfort his wife and injured son, after a 15-minute visit, the prince left the hospital to go to the opera. It's no surprise that when Buckingham Palace was informed of the prince's decision to keep his previous plans but keep in touch with doctors, he was completely completely bashed by the tabloids. Number 5. Beatrice's boyfriend. The Queen's granddaughter, Princess Beatrice, is 9th in line for the throne now. She's well known for being a socialite and a philanthropist, but she has certainly made some sketchy dating decisions in the past. In 2006, when the princess was just 17 years old, she started dating an American playboy called Paolo. This relationship was very troubled. Not only was Paolo older than the teenage princess, but he had a dark past. Prior to his relationship with Beatrice, Paolo was arrested for the manslaughter of 19-year-old Jonathan Duchatelia. Well, apparently he decided to confront Paolo for disrespecting women at a party, so he got beat up. Amazingly, the manslaughter charge was dropped and reduced to a lesser charge, but he even broke the terms of his probation while dating Beatrice by taking a trip to the French Alps. Talk about red flags. But thankfully, their relationship didn't last long at all. Number 4. Princess Anne's marriage. As the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II, Princess Anne's romantic life has been under a microscope since she was young, despite the fact that the princess lives a relatively private life away from the constant scrutiny that often follows a member of the royal family. She married Lieutenant Mark Phillips in 1973 at Westminster Abbey in a highly televised and anticipated ceremony, but their marriage was deeply troubled, and Phillips ended up having an affair with New Zealand art teacher Heather Tonkin. This resulted in a daughter being born in 1985. The marriage was in complete shambles, but struggled on for 4 more years before Princess Anne and Mark Phillips separated in 1989. The divorce was finalized a few years later in 1992. Interestingly enough, Anne remarried later that year, becoming the first royal divorcee since Henry VIII. Their wedding was much more reserved than the first one, with only 30 guests and no cameramen. And 30 years later, they are still happily together. Number 3. Margaret's heartbreak. Princess Margaret famously fell in love with Peter Townsend and was so dedicated to the man that she actually planned to marry him. But the relationship was doomed from the beginning, as he was 16 years older than her and already married with 2 children. While Townsend eventually divorced his wife in 1952, the Church of England's then strict rules about remarriage after divorce forced Margaret's hand. Under the Royal Marriages Act of 1772, the princess required the Queen's permission to marry before the age of 25. Although she had turned 25 that August, she still needed the Parliament's approval, and they had already made it clear that they would never offer her consent. She would have been able to marry him if she gave up her title and rights of succession, but Margaret was also aware that it would have never been allowed by the church either. She released a heartbreaking statement saying, "It might have been possible for me to contract a civil marriage, but mindful of the church's teaching that Christian marriage is indissoluble, I have resolved to put these considerations before any others." Number 2. Princess Diana's struggles. In 1992, Andrew Morton published his biography on the Princess of Wales, called Diana: Her True Story. It contained explosive details about Diana's eating disorder, something that was long rumored in the press but never covered this extensively. It turns out his source for it all was Diana herself, who passed the author confessional tapes. Quote, "The bulimia started the week after we got engaged and would take nearly a decade to overcome. My husband put his hand on my waistline and said, 'Oh, a bit chubby here, aren't we?' And that triggered off something in me and the Camilla thing. I was desperate." Diana revealed that she was driven to an eating disorder by being trapped in a loveless marriage and the pressure of being in the public eye. But her raw, candid confession sent shockwaves through the world at a time when eating disorders were rarely talked about openly. To have a global superstar do so and on such a stage challenged a major societal stigma. And coming in at number 1, Prince John. Born on July 12, 1905, Prince John was the youngest son of King George V, the Queen's grandfather. The young boy reportedly suffered from epilepsy, and the royal family was not particularly interested in having him live a very public life as a royal because of the stigmas behind the disorder. So they deployed a very familiar tactic to cope with what they thought would have been a scandal. They hid the child away from public view. Royal biographer Christopher Wilson has noted that some family trees completely leave out Prince John's name. He explained that if they feel they have somebody that isn't up to scratch, they want to write them out of the history books. And this happened in the case of Prince John. The moment that he died, we hear no more about him, which is incredibly sad but not unusual behavior when it comes to the British monarchy. Number 10. Sienna Elizabeth. Princess Beatrice's daughter formally secured her spot in the line of succession when she was born on September 18th to Queen Elizabeth's granddaughter and Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi. Baby Sienna was also added to the royal family's official website, which acknowledges that she is in 10th place to the throne. Although the royal family stylized Sienna's name without a royal title, her father Edoardo descends from Italian aristocracy, which means that Princess Beatrice became an Italian contessa and noblewoman after their wedding in July of 2020. But Princess Beatrice and Edoardo did not announce their daughter's name to be Sienna Elizabeth until October 1st. first, with a sweet photo of the baby's footprints. While it's obvious that the baby girl's middle name is a sweet tribute to Beatrice's grandmother Queen Elizabeth, the first name Sienna was not really an expected choice but is nevertheless a beautiful one. Her birth means Princess Eugenie and all the other royals behind her are now bumped down a notch in the royal pecking order. The website took nearly 5 weeks to make the update after Sienna's birth, but the delay is a fairly typical one considering that it took nearly 7 weeks to add Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's daughter Lilibet to the list after her birth in June. Loving this video so far? Please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Princess Beatrice. Now 9th in line for the throne, Princess Beatrice is the first daughter of Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, and she is the sister to Princess Eugenie. In 2020, Beatrice married property developer Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi, and together they had a daughter, Sienna Elizabeth. Beatrice is stepmom to Christopher Wolfe, who is Mozzi's son from a previous relationship. Interestingly enough, she is now the 3rd female in line for the throne, behind Princess Charlotte and Meghan and Harry's daughter Lilibet. Princess Beatrice has tried to maintain a lower profile than her sister Princess Eugenie, but that has recently changed when she married multi-millionaire property tycoon Edoardo in a secret ceremony. But she also had a small role in Martin Scorsese's 2009 film The Young Victoria, and ironically, she played one of the Queen's ladies in waiting. Beatrice is also very vocal and open about discussing her dyslexia, and shows a lot of support to charities involved with it, which many people find quite inspiring, including Tina Turner, who praised the princess for helping her come to terms with her own dyslexia. So she's done a whole lot of good when it comes to reducing the stigma associated with learning difficulties. Number 8. Prince Andrew. The 62-year-old Duke of York is the 3rd child of the Queen and is now 8th in line to the throne. He is the younger brother of King Charles III and Anne the Princess Royal. He is divorced from Sarah, Duchess of York, with whom he has 2 daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. But the royal family has tried to distance themselves from the disgraced prince, given the disturbing allegations against him. Since his fall from grace over his friendship with deceased financier and convicted Jeffrey Epstein and his out-of-court settlement in a civil case brought against him, Andrew has disappeared from public life. The settlement came a month after it was announced that Prince Andrew's military titles and royal patronages would be returned to the Queen, and he would have to stop using the title His Royal Highness in an official capacity. But with Queen Elizabeth's recent passing, Andrew decided to join his siblings in greeting the public at Balmoral Castle. He will also be present alongside the rest of his family during the lead up to and including her state funeral. But despite this, the public mood still seems to be set against Andrew, and he will likely not be able to return to public life as a royal for quite some time. Number 7. Miss Lilibet. She is the 2nd child of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and the younger sister to the couple's first child, Archie, and the 11th great-grandchild of Queen Elizabeth. Lilibet's first name plays tribute to Queen Elizabeth's childhood nickname, and her middle name Diana is a reminder of Prince Harry's late mother, Princess Diana. Meghan and Harry recently celebrated their daughter's first birthday by inviting close friends and family together for a casual, intimate backyard picnic at their Frogmore Cottage home. And yes, just like her brother, her hair is very bright red, which she inherited from her dad. Although little Lilibet is now 7th in line to the throne, she still does not carry a royal title and is only referred to as Miss. Whether or not this has anything to do with the fact that her parents stepped away from royal duties and moved to the US is something that remains to be seen. But it's likely that with Charles as king, she will be given her title of princess in the weeks to come. Number 6. Master Archie. Baby Archie is not such a baby anymore. In fact, the cutest royal is already 3 years old. Not only did he manage to steal hearts all over the world with his first appearance, but Harry and Meghan's son has also already made royal history. Even though he technically doesn't have a royal title, he's still managed to shake up the royal family in a huge way. His full name is Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. Aside from being the name of one of the most famous comic book characters, Archie means very bold and truly brave, and Harrison literally means son of Harry. Meanwhile, Mountbatten Windsor is the royal family's official last name, but his birth actually made history as the first British American baby to be born into the royal family. As it currently stands, he is in 6th place in the line of succession to the British throne. As Prince Harry is the 2nd and youngest son of Charles, Archie is not considered to be a British prince. He doesn't have a royal title, at least for now, and is simply known as Master Archie, but he might get one eventually. Number 5. Prince Harry. The Duke of Sussex is now 5th in line for the British throne. He's the second son of King Charles III and the late Diana, Princess of Wales. In 2018, Prince Harry married Meghan Markle. Throughout their lives, the younger generation of the royal family has tried to find a balance between the fast-changing society that they have now and the rigid institution that is the monarchy. This tension can really be seen when you look at the differences in the lives of Prince William and Prince Harry. While William leads a life of traditional duty, charity work, and military pageantry, Harry resides outside LA with his American wife Meghan, who is an ex-actress and currently seems to be more interested in Hollywood than Buckingham Palace. The brothers, who were once very close, are now barely on speaking terms. The world was shocked in 2020 when Meghan and Harry announced that they were permanently stepping down as working royals, as they made it clear that they did not want the responsibilities and duties that come with a life of public service. It was certainly a loss for the royal family, but they seem to be happy with the decision and now lead a much more laid-back family life, residing just outside of LA. Number 4. Prince Louis. Prince Louis is the youngest child of William and Kate and has already captured the hearts of royal fans and the world with his adorable smile. He's only 4 years old and he's 4th in line for the throne. Due to his young age, Prince Louis's parents have kept him out of the limelight as much as possible. In fact, aside from spotting his adorable face in a couple of select royal family portraits, we haven't seen or heard much about little Louis. But we do know that his name has a lot of meaning behind it. Louis's full name is Prince Louis Arthur Charles. His middle name of Charles and Arthur also holds special meaning. Charles, of course, is in honor of King Charles, and the name Arthur is a family tradition. He also broke a royal record when he was born. His birth weight made him the heaviest Cambridge baby and heir to the throne in at least 100 years, weighing in at 3.8 kilograms. Kate doesn't often chat about Louis's personality, but she did reveal that he has a real love of nature and constantly stops to smell any flowers that he lays his eyes on. So clearly he's growing to love the great outdoors. Number 3. Princess Charlotte. The second child of Prince William and Kate Middleton, Princess Charlotte is also the sister of Prince George and Prince Louis. She's 7 and she's 3rd in line for the throne. Interestingly enough, the original law surrounding succession stated that the younger male heirs would be considered for the throne before their older female siblings. However, in 2013 this changed and now any older female sibling born after the 28th of October in 2011 can be considered first for the throne. So because Princess Charlotte was born in 2015, she gets to keep her place in line. The princess is reportedly very girly and has a passion for horses, just like her late great-grandmother Queen Elizabeth. Her name has a lot of meaning behind it, as Charlotte serves as a female version of Charles, which is in honor of her grandfather. It is also the middle name of Kate's little sister Pippa Middleton. The royal middle name is a tribute to her great-grandmother Queen Elizabeth II, while Diana is in loving memory of her late grandmother Princess Diana. William and Kate's children were all previously known as George Cambridge, Charlotte Cambridge, and Louis Cambridge at school, but now they will be known to their friends and teachers as George Wales, Charlotte Wales, and Louis Wales. The change comes as all 3 siblings started their new school, Lambrook, following their family move out of London over the summer. The family of 5 now live in Adelaide Cottage in Windsor. Number 2. Prince George. He is the eldest son of Prince William and Kate Middleton and is now 2nd in line to the British throne behind only his father. Prince George is the older brother of Princess Charlotte of Cambridge and Prince Louis of Cambridge. His parents keep the life of the future heir to the British throne very private, but we do know some things about his personality. He attends school just like any other child, and his parents do want him to be raised with a sense of normalcy. In fact, they haven't even told George yet that he'll be king one day. As a toddler, the prince was something of a handful, so much so that his parents decided to leave him at home when they went on a 2016 trip to India. When asked why the young prince was not with them, Kate said, "Because George is too naughty. He would be running all over the place." But maybe now that he's older, 9 years old to be exact, he can accompany them on their next trip. Prince George also has a deep love of dance, just like his grandmother, the late Princess Diana, who was known for her dancing. So the grandson she never got to meet has apparently inherited a lot of her skills. And coming in at number 1, Prince William. First in line for the throne is Prince William, who is now known as the Prince of Wales and formerly the Duke of Cambridge. He is the eldest son of King Charles III and the late Princess Diana. William is married to Kate Middleton, now called the Princess of Wales, and formerly the Duchess of Cambridge. William ranks among the most popular figures in the royal family. He was admired for his public poise and grace, following his mother's tragic death in a car crash in 1997. 10 years later, William and Harry organized a London memorial service to mark the anniversary of her death. Much like his father, William is also an avid sportsman and active in environmental issues. In fact, a survey by BGM Research reveals that nearly half of the British public wants Charles to step aside and give the throne to his older son. William and Kate have now been married for nearly a decade, and The Atlantic went as far as calling their relationship a fairy tale, with their picture-perfect family and their distinct lack of scandals. Many Brits believe that when the time comes, William will make an excellent king.
Coming at number 10, we have William attacks Harry. Harry has alleged in his much anticipated new memoir that his brother, Prince William, lashed out and physically attacked him during a furious argument over the brothers' deteriorating relationship. On Thursday, The Guardian said that they had obtained an advance copy of the book Spare that is due to be published next week. In the book, Harry would go on to recount an argument in 2019 at Kensington Palace. During the altercation, Harry would claim that William called his wife, Meghan Markle, difficult, rude, and abrasive. Harry claims that William grabbed him by the collar and ripped his necklace before knocking him to the ground. Harry would also say, "I landed on a dog's bowl which cracked under my back, the pieces cutting into me. I laid there for a moment dazed and then got to my feet and told him to get out." Harry would then explain how the incident caused him to have a few scrapes and bruises, and as a result of the tussle, William would later apologize. With the book scheduled to be released Tuesday, we were all expecting it to claim the past problems that Harry and Meghan had already aired out before, but it seems like this book is filled with some never before juicy facts that's going to send the palace into a frenzy to try to cover it all up. Number 9, early tensions. Long before Meghan even came into the scene, the brothers had a back and forth tension. With all the turmoil of their childhood, William took strength from the idea of his duty and what lied ahead for him as king, while Harry on the other hand got caught into the importance of love. So when he found Meghan, he went for it, and William told him to slow things down, he would explode, and it would cause William to go to his uncle, who was Diana's brother, and ask him to intervene and suggest that Harry should slow things down. Not long after, Harry would reject William's model, as he knew he wanted to love Meghan and he wanted to marry her, which would lead to the beginning of their so-called rift. While the interactions between Meghan and Harry and William and Kate have been extremely guarded, no one really noticed how formal the British family was behind closed doors, and it's clear that while there were early tensions before Meghan, it seems like when Harry started to date Meghan, it provoked the royal family and everyone in it, and they all just finally broke. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have William expresses his concerns. So in 2017, according to the book Finding Freedom, it would claim that William was expressing some concerns when it came to the speed of Harry's relationship with Meghan. This would come after some of Harry's closest friends spoke out warnings to him of the whirlwind romance. William would then be forced to also confront his brother about the relationship with Meghan, and he would say, "Don't feel like you need to rush this. Take as much time as you need to know this girl." While William was only trying to be a protective older brother, it would send Harry off the walls, and sources would claim that Harry was extremely angry with his brother and he couldn't believe he would ask such a thing. While some people feel like both brothers were just overreacting, it would totally go on to show what type of people they really are. With William being the calm and rational one, it's clear that Harry can't help but take things too far personally. Despite everyone's obsession over the Fab Four, aka William, Harry, Kate, and Meghan, there has always seemed to be trouble in paradise. After months of Harry and Meghan's royal wedding, a source would tell ET that there was tension in the family after concerns had been expressed about the suit star, with sources claiming that there was major tension since William first voiced his concern it would hurt Harry so badly that he was never able to completely mend his relationship with his brother. Number 7, William yells at Harry. In the latest episodes of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's documentary on Netflix, Harry would say that his older brother, Prince William, left him terrified after he started screaming and shouting at him during an emergency meeting to discuss Harry's future as a working member of the royal family. In the 3 final episodes, the couple would take aim at the royal family. In the penultimate episode, Harry discusses a 2020 crisis meeting that was scheduled at Sandringham Estate, where he claims that William would go on to scream at him in front of his grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth II. Harry would describe the situation by saying, "It was terrifying to have my brother scream and shout at me, and to have my father say things that simply weren't true, and my grandmother just sit there and sort of take it all in." The meeting, which involved Harry, William, King Charles, and the late Queen, was a high-stakes discussion to determine how the Duke and Duchess of Sussex would continue to operate within the royal family. Harry says he and his wife had proposed to be half in and half out of the royal family, working to support the Queen, but also having their own jobs and supporting themselves financially, and William definitely felt like Harry and Meghan were stepping out of line, so he yelled at his brother to put him back in his place. Number 6. Staring at feet. It's clear that now when the brothers are near each other, they no longer are in the mood to talk to each other, and it seems like William is so done with trying to mend his relationship with his brother. On numerous occasions, the brothers can be spotted staring at their feet just so they can avoid making eye contact and having an awkward conversation. When you're not in the mood to talk to your older brother, that's a really big sign that something deep is going on. While William was once spotted staring at his feet to avoid having conversations with Harry, he seemed like he was off in his own world. While both brothers let the Duchess of Cambridge also take center of the stage, the whole world would watch but miss out on the brothers' tensions because she was good at commanding all of the attention. While it's definitely been a huge moment of silence for the brothers, I would really hate to see these two never repair their relationship. With both going through so much together, like the tragic loss of their mother and their life in the spotlight, they both have so much to look forward to together, so hopefully they can mend things eventually, because a life without your siblings just seems lightless. Number 5. Body language. You don't need to be a body language expert to read the room and know anytime that Prince Harry and William are in the room together, there is something extremely off. When the brothers were once spotted sitting next to each other, they couldn't have been anything but more distant. While there is a chance that both were actually just focusing on the game that was happening, they honestly didn't look like they were having fun together. With the brothers sitting right next to each other, you could legit see how uncomfortable they were doing it. With Harry crossing his arms, you could tell that he just didn't want to be in the same room as his brother, and being seated right next to him just was not the highlight of his day. Another time you could see the tension spewing between Harry is when the brothers were spotted wearing navy matching suits. While it seems like William was looking at his feet, Harry did not look so pleased, and it left us all wondering what was wrong with Harry. Did William say something to get on his nerves, or was he actually just over the whole royal duties things? Or was it just both? At this point in their relationship, it's starting to look like any event that Harry and William have to go together has become more like a chore, rather than the two brothers just catching up and bonding. And it left us all to wonder again, since when did it become such a bad thing to spend time with your brother? Number 4. The middleman. Do you ever wonder that when the brothers are spotted together, why there is someone always standing in the middle of them? Even their grandfather, Prince Philip, was once spotted being the middleman at one point, which made us question if he was even over all the William and Harry beef. And if he wasn't, why was he put directly in the middle of them? It just seems like today they jump at the chance to put someone in between them so they don't have to stand next to each other. Normally you would see these guys sharing a really sweet moment with their grandfather, but at this point it looks like they're depressed doing that. While the brothers have gone on to do a pretty good job at masking all the tension overall and even unveiling their mother Princess Diana's statue in July of 2021, in the small moments you could still see it. It seems like Harry and William would rather be doing anything but talking to each other with their hands on their hips. It shows that they're really just closed off. Even Kate has found herself being the middleman, and while she has overlooked the drama for years, she's been putting up with it for years as well, and it can't be easy for her. But at the same time, if there's anyone that could put these two back into shape, it's gonna have to be her at this point. Number 3. Spending the holidays apart. While it's a tradition for the royal families to spend Christmas at Sandringham, with the tension so high, Meghan and Harry decided they wouldn't be in attendance since 2019. Instead, the couple has opted to spend the holidays with Meghan's mother. The decision to break the royal family Christmas tradition would come after it was much speculated that Meghan and Harry were planning to move to the US, and it was filled with rumors that the couple wasn't getting along with the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. In Harry and Meghan, an African Journey documentary, Prince Harry at the time would address his relationship with his big brother. Harry would explain that inevitably stuff happens and they were brothers and they would always be brothers. Harry would say, "We're certainly on different paths at the moment. I'll always be there for him, as I know he'll always be there for me. We don't see each other as much as we used to because we're so busy, but I love him dearly. With the Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepping away from their duties they shared with the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, it shows that the couple was having pressures, living in the spotlight as members of the royal family, and it's clear that the tensions between William and Harry may have led to this decision. Number 2, the press. Prince Harry has claimed that his brother, Prince William, has planted negative stories about him and his wife Meghan. This would come when both were working members of the family. Harry would describe the alleged workings of the royal family, different press teams in the 4th episode of the Netflix documentary Harry and Meghan, which dropped last month. Harry would say, "I have 30 years experience looking behind the curtain and seeing how the system works and how it runs. I mean, just constantly briefing about other members of the family, about favors, inviting the press in. It's a dirty game. You know, there's leaking, but there's also planting stories. So if the communication team wants to be able to remove a negative story about their principal, they'll trade and give you something about someone else's principal. The offices end up working against each other." Harry would also add that everything is done this way to allow the employees to keep their hands clean, as they would always say, "I didn't know about this, don't be ridiculous." The Duke would also reveal that watching his parents, Princess Diana and Prince Charles, use the press to damage each other had an everlasting impact on him and his brother. And coming in number 1 today, we have the glares. So have you ever noticed all of these glares and evil eyes Harry has been given when he's even in proximity of William? Because it shows some major hate. While Harry could be annoyed by something, it doesn't quite look like in his photos that his brother and him have spent most of their lives as close friends, as there seems to be a trend of Harry always trailing a bit behind his older brother. Now it could just be protocol because William is going to be king, but it appears to have made Harry a little salty. With the tensions growing high between the two brothers, they kind of both look awkward when they're in the same room together, and you almost never see them smile like they used to when they're photographed together. It seems like now everyone wants to push Harry to the back, and you can just see his glaring eyes poking out in the background. On most occasions, Harry is shoved to the back, and while he should be happy on celebratory days like trooping the color for the Queen's birthday, they shove Harry to the back and he didn't look so happy about it, and while Harry's left looking bothered, William is less than concerned about it. And while these two men are still in the same room, they're still miles apart.
And at number 10, brief separation. Kate and William first met in university while studying at St. Andrews. Will was first interested in Kate after he saw her walking the runway in a fashion event. But during their university days, the pair went through a separation that was almost the end of their relationship. Things started going south the summer of 2004, a year before graduation. The separation was documented in the book William and Harry Behind the Palace Walls. At this time, William told his friends he felt, quote, claustrophobic being with Kate. That summer, the pair decided to try separating to see if that would bring them closer. William went to Greece for a boys' trip while Kate spent time with her family. Insiders said that during the summer, quote, she was debating whether or not she should text or call him. She said how sad she was and how much she was missing William, but she never mentioned it after that. Kate was heartbroken when it was rumored that William started seeing other people during this break, but in the end, they ended up back together. And at number 9, Kate and Meghan feud. It's long been reported that Meghan and Kate do not get along, but it was never confirmed by either of the women until Meghan did her explosive Oprah interview. In November of 2018, a report from The Sun claimed that Meghan Markle made Kate Middleton cry during a bridesmaid dress fitting. But Markle claimed in the Oprah interview that it was the other way around, and Kate actually made Meghan cry. Markle continued, quote, and I don't say that to be disparaging to anyone because it was a really hard week for the wedding and she was really upset about something. Markle even said that Kate later apologized for this outburst. Markle called the way the incident was handled a turning point in her relationship with Harry's family. Sources from Kate's camp also said that after the interview, she was frustrated that Meghan brought it up because she was hoping it was done with. And at number 8, Will dumped Kate on a phone call. The pair went through a brief split once again in 2007, and to make the breakup even worse, Will dumped her over the phone. The cherry on top is that it all went down while she was at work, so she had to try and keep it together the rest of the day. According to the book William and Kate, A Royal Love Story, she was working as an accessories buyer at Jigsaw, a luxury retailer, when she all of a sudden got a call from Will saying he wanted to end things. An insider claimed, quote, she excused herself, went to a back conference room out of earshot of the other buyers, shut the door, and for the next hour heard Will sputter the reasons that he was breaking up with her. Even though that kind of behavior would usually prevent a woman from ever speaking to him again, they eventually got back together and Kate forgave him. In a joint TV interview announcing their engagement, She said about their split, quote, "It actually made me a stronger person. You find out things about yourself that maybe you hadn't realized." In at number 7, underpay staff. Working for the royals seems like a dream until you realize that the pay is probably lower than you would think, considering the family is uber rich. Staff at the Kensington Palace even threatened to strike in 2016 when a pay cut of about $5,000 a year was threatened. This came after a $3 million renovation to the palace, so clearly the royals had the money to pay people adequately. Even though it's been reported that many of the royal staff do not do their job for money, rather they take pride in working so closely with the royals. The insider also wanted to make it clear that the staffers who work most closely with William and Kate were not considering the strike, but her staff have shaded her in the past. One of Kate's staff said about her, quote, "Kate is a lovely, lovely girl. She totally adores her husband, and they're devoted to each other. But that extra something, which you would call the X factor, the magic quality, charisma, it's not there." Ouch. In at number 6, shady ski trip. It seems that Will and the boys' trips are a very bad mix because he's had quite a few shady moments while out with the boys. Once was back in 2017 when he decided to take a skiing trip with some friends that got him in a lot of trouble. Insiders claim that Middleton was very angry when she saw tabloid photos showing Will dancing in a club, and in one picture dancing with a blonde woman, putting his hands on her waist. All this was happening while Kate was at home with the kids. Even worse, this trip caused William to miss a Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey, which is a huge event for the royals. Reports surfaced that the Queen was not pleased and had a stern talking to with him when he got back. And at number 5, William's affair. Like I said before, Will has been rumored to have cheated many times over the years, but there was never more proof than in 2020 when the tabloids claimed that Will cheated on Kate while she was pregnant with her 3rd child. The rumor started when The Sun published an article claiming that Kate was feuding with fellow royal and friend Rose Hanbury. Nobody was sure why this feud started, although it was rumored that Will was having an affair with Rose. Then In Touch decided to take the cat out of the bag and confirm these cheating rumors in an article. Then in another Daily Beast article, the affair was said to be confirmed in a tweet by a royal reporter who quickly took it back and deleted this tweet after backlash. The palace even took legal action against these reports and denied any rumors. In at number 4, broke restrictions. Because of the virus we're all fighting, many governments implemented restrictions on travel and leaving the home unless necessary. In December of 2020, the UK had some of the strictest measures, so many thought it was strange when Will and Kate still decided to travel. It was reported that the royals took a, quote, private royal train to Scotland, stopping in the country's capital of Edinburgh, which was under Tier 3 restrictions. This meant no leaving your home unless it was essential. The royals were in the area to praise healthcare workers, which is very nice of them, but not essential. In the couple's defense, the Scottish government admitted that they did know about the visit in advance and took precautions. But there was a lot of talk that a Zoom meeting would have sufficed. And at number 3, unnecessary trip. Of course, the royals deserve a vacation every once in a while, but since taxpayers essentially fund these trips, they get a lot of scrutiny from the press. The royals were criticized after they decided to take a trip when Prince George was only 7 months old and did not take him along. The couple decided to travel to the Maldives in 2013, calling the trip a second honeymoon. The Daily Mail noted that the couple was accompanied by several taxpayer-funded Scotland Yard detectives. Clearly a sore spot for the public. This trip also happened less than a month after William went on another short hunting vacation with his brother Harry. Kate had also gone on a vacation with her family shortly before. In a separate article, the Daily Mail reported a supposed, quote, storm of protest by taxpayers who criticized the excessive trips. And at number 2, Kate and Meghan never friends. It was reported that as of March of 2021, Kate and Meghan had not spoken to each other in over a year, only meeting for functions where both women were attending. And now that the bombshell news that Kate made Meghan cry has been exposed, word share they will not be friendly anytime soon. The reason the feud started was because of tension between their husbands, Harry and William. A royal source said, quote, "There's real animosity that the brothers have towards one another, and that has spilled over to Meghan and Kate's relationship, making it very hard for them to be friends or even friendly. The two women are also reportedly very different and really don't have a lot in common." Even though during the Oprah interview Meghan claimed that she'd forgiven Kate, this reportedly made tensions even worse between William and Harry. A source said, quote, "William is very protective of Kate and can get very angry. For Meghan to name Kate in a negative light is worse than being attacked himself." And finally, number 1, secret names. Since this pair is so famous, they have decided to use secret names for each other during trips so they don't give away too many details to the public. Reportedly, the Duchess of Cambridge is known as Daphne Clark when she goes away, and the Duke goes by the alias of Danny Collins, according to The Express. Both of the initials of the fake names are DC, D, a nod to their true titles as Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Apparently Kate has more than one codename that she will use, but this one has been confirmed since she let it slip during a shopping trip in Wales in 2010, according to The Mirror.
Number 10. Unpopular. Now that Charles is king, his new role is going to be daunting, and he has a real uphill battle to restore his tarnished reputation. Queen Elizabeth was overwhelmingly popular and well respected, but her son, on the other hand, has a major image problem: strained family relationships, endless scandals, and lingering allegations of racism against him. Charles confronts those challenges at the age of 73, the oldest monarch ever to take the throne in a lineage that dates back 1,000 years, alongside his wife Camilla, who is equally controversial and universally disliked. In short, the British public sees the new king as weak, vain, and ill-equipped for the role of sovereign. Although Charles has taken a stand on important environmental issues such as sustainability and climate change, he has fallen pitifully short on animal welfare issues. He has also been ridiculed for admitting that he talks to plants and obsesses over hating modern architecture. But more than anything, he got a whole lot of backlash for speculating about the complexion of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's future children. He allegedly asked Camilla, "I wonder what the children would look like," and lowering his voice, asking, "I mean, what do you suppose the children's complexions might be?" So the allegations of racism were pretty hard to ignore. Number 9. Short reign. With Queen Elizabeth II's death on Thursday, King Charles III has now become the oldest person in British history to be king at age 73. But the fact is that Charles's reign is inevitably going to be far shorter than Queen Elizabeth's, so the fact that King Charles will have a much shorter reign concerns some people. Why? Change on a grand scale can be scary, and people inherently don't like the idea of instability, which is something that they never had to worry about with Queen Elizabeth. Throughout the nation, she was a symbol of stability and order, even managing to outlast 12 US presidents. So after all, at Charles's age, some might question that he will be unable to tackle royal tours with the same vigor as his mother, and with the 1937 Regency Act, there are only 4 family members that can act on the king's behalf when he is sick, incapacitated, or out of the country. But that's a major problem because currently 2 of those 4 people are out of action. Prince Andrew is now disgraced from his scandal surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, and Prince Harry is ineligible because he lives abroad. So it's a bit of a messy situation. Number 8. They hate Camilla. A survey from BGM Research revealed that only 20% of people think Camilla should take the title of queen. Given that Prince Charles is now married to the other woman, that may also make people feel less inclined to get behind him as the reigning monarch. Back in the 90s, one of the biggest scandals to rock the British royal family was when Charles was caught having an affair with Camilla. The transcript of their phone sex was published on the front pages for days, and was so controversial at the time because he was still married to Princess Diana and she was married to Andrew Parker Bowles. The transcript reads like something out of a used bookstore romance novel. The incident ultimately broke Camilla's 20-year marriage and publicly humiliated her husband and children, and played a major role in Charles and Diana's divorce, which would come only a few years later and was requested by the Queen herself. So it's likely that the new king will never be able to fully live down the scandal. Number 7. Questionable parenting. Charles has always had a bit of a rocky relationship when it comes to being a father to his 2 sons William and Harry. In fact, after an heir to the throne had been secured, Diana said that Charles had been hoping their second child would be a girl, and obviously it wasn't. In her biography, Diana said she knew Harry was a boy, but kept it a secret until after he was born, as Charles actually had a negative reaction, saying, "Oh god, it's a boy," and commented on his red hair. But this is nothing compared to the hospital incident. In 1991, 8-year-old Prince William underwent emergency surgery for a skull fracture after being hit by a golf club to the head while playing with schoolmates. The young prince was kept overnight at London's Great Ormond Street Hospital following an hour-long operation. Diana spent the night sleeping in a bed set up near William's room so she could look after her son, whereas Charles took a much different approach. Rather than stay and comfort his wife and injured son after a 15-minute visit, the prince left the hospital to go to the opera. It's no surprise that when Buckingham Palace informed the press of the prince's decision to keep his previous plans but keep in touch with doctors, he was completely bashed by the tabloids. Number 6. Bad attitude. Many Brits think that Charles won't be a good king and fear that he just doesn't have what it takes to rise to the occasion. Whether it's because of his personality traits or capabilities or something else entirely, if people don't have confidence that he will do a good job, it will be hard for them to get behind him. In fact, when it comes to best-selling books about the real life of the royals, you'll see that Charles isn't exactly praised by biographers. In fact, some of his private rants and tantrums have been made public, further damaging his reputation. It was 2005 during a holiday in the Swiss Alps, just a few days before his wedding to Camilla, and the new king's general frustration boiled over and he made a rather awkward comment to Harry and William because he didn't seem to realize that there was a microphone nearby. He answered the reporter's question politely and then through gritted teeth muttered under his breath, "Bloody people, I can't bear that man. He's so awful, he really is." And yes, the microphones picked up every word. It was just plain awkward, but it goes to show you just how much Charles loves to complain. Number 5. Marriage to Diana. Charles's marriage to Diana didn't exactly get off to the best start, especially when we think back to their 1981 engagement interview. When he was asked if he loved Diana, he looked very nonchalant and just said, "Whatever love means," which caused a lot of people to scratch their heads. And years later, Diana actually admitted that the moment had traumatized her. When the couple wed in 1981 in front of a global television audience of more than 750 million people, they seemed to be perfect for each other. But behind the scenes, the marriage had extreme problems, and it became apparent that Charles was having an affair with Camilla. A heartbroken Diana exposed the affair in an infamous 1992 interview, saying, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Charles publicly admitted to being unfaithful in his own interview, and the couple divorced in 1996. There was already public outrage growing against him, but it all came to a head when the princess was killed in a Paris car crash in 1997. From that point on, there were vitriolic outpourings in the press against both him and Camilla, and his popularity sank to an all-time low. So the British public, who is still very protective of Diana, still haven't been able to forgive Charles for how he treated her during their ill-fated marriage. Number 4. Too political. Blame the British press or Charles's self-created scandals over the years, but the more salacious or negative details of his life always seem to make the headlines. In 2015, the Black Spider memos caused quite a stir for him. The collection consisted of 27 memos that he sent in 2004 and 2005, lobbying British Prime Minister Tony Blair for the policy changes that he'd hoped for, including promoting alternative medicine and even asking to replace military helicopters. This was a pretty serious scandal because members of the royal family are supposed to stay out of politics and remain neutral, especially the ones who were always destined to be king. But Charles is often not shy about sharing his opinions on political matters, and this has led to him being criticized for it, possibly to the detriment of his future reign. And then in September of 2021, Charles had a brand new scandal to contend with. The chairman of the Prince Foundation, Michael Fawcett, was accused of bribing a Saudi billionaire with knighthood and UK citizenship if he was willing to donate to the foundation. So far, the investigation is still ongoing. Number 3. They prefer William. William, Kate, and their 3 children are adored all throughout England. In fact, a survey by BGM Research reveals that nearly half of the British public wants Prince Charles to step aside and give the throne to his oldest son. The couple have now been married for nearly a decade, and The Atlantic called their relationship a fairy tale, with their picture-perfect family and their lack of scandals. Plus, Prince William and Prince Harry are the most liked royals since records began, so it makes sense that people want to see them on the throne. But experts believe this would be nearly impossible. The bigger question now is how long King Charles will decide to reign now that he has taken the throne. Will he do the job for a couple of years before abdicating and handing the crown to his eldest son? Throughout their lives, the younger generation of the royal family has tried to find a balance between the fast-changing society that they have now and the rigid institution that is the monarchy. This tension has practically torn the brothers apart. While William leads a life of traditional duty, charity work, and military pageantry, Harry resides outside LA with his American ex-actress wife Meghan, who seems to be more interested in Hollywood than Buckingham Palace. The brothers, who were once very close, are now barely on speaking terms. Number 2. Taj Mahal photo. One of the most iconic photos ever taken of Diana was shot during a visit to India with Charles in February of 1992. The couple were expected to visit the Taj Mahal together, but Diana went on her own, which led to the headline-making photo that was a nail in the coffin for the new king's public image. It became the defining and memorable image of the tour. But why? Well, Charles practically abandoned his wife to visit some random architecture school, while Diana sat alone on a bench in front of the most famous monument of love. At the time, she told reporters her visit there was a very healing experience, but she did say it would have been better if both of us had been here, but my husband has to be in Delhi. The image was so powerful because it became the embodiment of Diana's loneliness and isolation, and really solidified Charles's image as a villain, opening him up to harsh criticism for not accompanying her. Years later, in 2016, William and Kate visited the exact same place and recreated the photos sitting side by side. In fact, the memory of his mother must have been very overwhelming there, because William actually started crying and was clearly overcome with the emotion of her memory. And coming in at number 1, too outspoken. Charles has been outspoken on a whole range of sensitive issues, from genetically modified crops to homeopathic medicines and architecture. Interestingly enough, he has always been a strong climate change activist and has been speaking out about it since 1968. Charles was a prominent backer of the 2015 Paris Climate Accord and discussed the subject with Donald Trump over tea in December of 2019. This has made him a lot more of a divisive figure than his mother, who barely cracked an expression during her 70-year reign, let alone expressed a single opinion. But Elizabeth's legendary ability not to offend was more strategic than many people realize. Charles has also said some outrageous things throughout his lifetime, like, "I'm not really good at being a performing monkey. I'm not prepared to just perform whenever they want me to perform on that sort of score. And that's called a microphone. It's a big sausage that picks up every time you say." But he also angered quite a few people when he infamously said, "Do you seriously expect me to be the first Prince of Wales in history not to have a mistress?" And let's not forget that notorious interview where he insisted that he was faithful to Princess Diana up until he felt the marriage was broken.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have they questioned the color of Archie's skin. While being pregnant is supposed to be a joyful experience, Meghan definitely had a rough time. When Prince Harry and Meghan sat down for an interview with Oprah, they would discuss what their life had looked like since they left the royal family and their royal duties behind. One of the biggest bombshells that they would drop was that some unnamed members of the royal family had made some direct racist comments in their direction. In particular, a member of the royal family even asked what the skin tone of Meghan and Harry's future child might have. While the couple did refuse to name the royal family members that made the comments, it's been speculated that it was King Charles who raised the offensive questions. In the book Brothers and Wives: Inside the Private Lives of William, Kate, Harry, and Meghan, written by Christopher Anderson, it would expose that it was actually King Charles and Camilla who were discussing the couple when Charles reportedly asked, "I wonder what the children will look like." And Camilla, being somewhat taken back by the question, she would respond by saying, "Absolutely gorgeous, I'm certain." And then Charles would then lower his voice to clarify his question by saying, "I mean, what do you think the children's complexion might be?" While Charles has continued to deny that he made the comments, he would even have a spokesperson label the book as fiction, with Harry stating that the comment was not made by the Queen or Prince Philip. It only leaves a few other senior royals who could have actually made the comments. Number 9, sold stories to the press. In Volume 2 of Harry and Meghan's Netflix docu-series, Harry didn't hold anything back when he dived deep into the challenges and complications that he and Meghan had to face while they were working as senior royals, with Harry claiming that the palace insiders were knowingly leaking stories about him and Meghan to the press. This is when Meghan and Harry would begin their plans on relocating outside of England. While the couple finally came to the decision to move to Canada, after visiting Vancouver for Christmas, after the palace okayed the move and Charles put it into writing, reports would then emerge that the couple had plans on moving to Canada, and just 5 days after that, Charles put it in writing, it was placed on the front page of a newspaper. It then became clear to Meghan and Harry at the moment that the institution was behind the leaks that they were moving back to Canada. It would also show that it was a key piece of the story that was made, highlighting the contents of the letter that was only between Harry and Charles. While both Harry and Meghan were both willing to give up their royal titles, they felt like their story and their life literally got swept away from underneath them. In episode 4, Harry and Meghan would also reveal that not only was the family leaking stories, but they were also planting stories. So if the media team wanted to remove a negative story about their principal, they would then trade something else in. Hey my little peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, the miscarriage. In the 3 final episodes of Netflix series, Harry would say that William was the giant reason behind the negative stories appearing about the couple in the media, and he planted the stories that were playing across the headlines. Harry would then go on to say that he believes believes that the negative stories that the family planted on Meghan led to her miscarriage. Harry would then say it's a dirty game. There's leaking, but there's also planting of stories. So if the communications team wants to be able to remove a negative story about their principal, they will trade it and give you something about someone else's principal. While Meghan's mental health was deteriorating due to the stories would also have Meghan so stressed that she wasn't sleeping. So on the morning that she and Harry moved into their new home, she would find out that she miscarried her child. Harry would then add, "I believe my wife suffered a miscarriage because of what the Mail did," which referenced an article posted in 2019 that was leaked by the royal family. The Daily Mail would publish an article that leaked the contents of a letter that Meghan had sent her father. Harry would then say, "Now, do we absolutely know the miscarriage was created caused by that? Of course we don't, but bearing in mind the stress that caused lack of sleep, and the timing of her pregnancy, how many weeks she was in, I can say from what I saw that the miscarriage was created by what they were trying to do to her." Number 7, racism. In the multi-part documentary, Meghan and Harry would address their experience dealing with race and racism within the royal family. Unlike the couple's Oprah interview, viewers were hoping for some more bombshell revelations. However, instead they got Harry and Meghan spending a lot of time trying to teach us about some history. In the second half of their series, they would kickstart the conversation about racism in the UK and how it contextualizes their experience as British royals, especially with the reaction of Meghan, who happens to be an American who identifies as biracial. With the couple discussing the tabloid headlines that were given to the press by the palace, they would claim that the headlines had racist tendencies, as they would describe Meghan as a gangster royalty or that she came from a crime-ridden neighborhood. Harry would also admit that he learned so much about how his family views issues with race and that there was a huge level of unconscious bias. But once it had been pointed out that the royal family still didn't care to protect Meghan, Meghan also felt like she had to wear a lot of white and beige just so she could blend in with the royal family, which only fueled the debates about whether the royal family is equipped to overseeing a rapidly diversifying commonwealth. At number 6, we have the bullying allegations. Just 5 days before Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah, the palace would claim that they were opening an investigation into bullying allegations against Meghan. In the couple's documentary, the executive director of Harry and Meghan's Archie Foundation gave insight into the series of events and claimed it was calculated to work against the couple. Speaking on the timing of the two occurrences, Harry would then add, "I can't think what my mom went through all those years ago by herself. To see the institution gaslighting what happens is extraordinary. And that's why everything that happened to us was always going to happen to us, because if you speak the truth to power, that's how they respond." Harry and Meghan only brought their truth forward because they wanted to fill in the blanks on what other people were filling in for them. The couple would then claim that they were never rude, nor would they ever bully anyone, especially since Harry had to witness his mom being bullied by the press and the family for years before her passing. While the move for the palace to say Meghan was a bully seemed pretty tactical, it's kinda hard to believe that the palace bullied them, as royal staff members would come out to explain their stories and they ultimately decided to quit their roles at the palace so they wouldn't have to deal with Meghan and Harry again. And number 5, Kate made Meghan cry. With some claiming Meghan made Kate cry, others will claim that Kate made Meghan cry, with the alleged versions of the events still being in headlines after it was said that Meghan made Kate cry during a row over bridesmaid dresses. Meghan would later disagree and claim that it was actually the other way around. Meghan would say that Kate was upset about something and she later owned up to it and apologized by sending flowers to her. While Meghan would go on to explain that it wasn't a confrontation, she would also say she didn't exactly think it was fair to Kate to get into the details, as Kate had already apologized to her by buying her flowers. Meghan would then also go on to say it's kind of hard being blamed for something she didn't do, and it was actually her that cried over the incident. While Meghan wouldn't state during the interview what the two had actually had an argument over, in the docu-series it would be revealed that the two actually fought over Charlotte's dress. Recently, with the rift being brought up again, Kate has been feeling sort of mortified, as she thought they worked things through, and now it's been circulating again and she feels like she isn't in a position to respond, and Harry and Meghan know that, so their claims just seem so off-sided. And number 4, William screamed at Harry. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle piled fresh criticism on British royals in their episodes on the documentary. In the series, they would even go on to accuse Harry's older brother, Prince William, of screaming at him during a summit that was ordered for the royal family to attend so Harry could discuss his future with the royal family. In the final 3 episodes, Harry would bring to light that William had been the reason behind the large amount of negative stories that were appearing about the couple in the media. While Harry recounted the details of the crisis summit held at the estate 2 months before him and Meghan made the final decision to leave the family, he would attend the meeting alongside the Queen, Charles, and William. Harry would even go on to say that it was terrifying to have his brother scream at him and shout at him. Harry would also note that throughout the whole meeting, his father just sat there saying things that weren't true, and Queen Elizabeth just sat there quiet and let it all go down. While Harry didn't say exactly what was said, the fact that Queen Elizabeth just sat there quiet could mean that Harry overstepped his boundaries and William and Charles were just putting him in his place to defend and support the Queen. So without knowing all the facts, it's really hard to say if William was really out of line here. And number 3, lies of protection. Shortly after Meghan and Harry decided to leave the royal family because of their relationship with William, a story would come out to say that part of the reason behind why Meghan and Harry were leaving the family is because William had bullied them out. While Harry admitted he was then made aware of the joint statement that had been issued by Kensington Palace with his and William's name on it, squashing and denying the report, Harry said no one had asked him for his permission to put the name on the statement and he couldn't believe it. After he had become aware of the statement, he said that he called Meghan to tell her what happened and all she could do was burst into tears. Harry would then go on to say within 4 hours, they were happy to lie to protect my brother, and yet for 3 years they were never willing to tell the truth to protect us. Meghan and Harry would then also claim that the royal family told the pair that if they helped them, they would make sure that Meghan would be safe from the negative headlines the press was releasing on her. However, that wouldn't be the case, and Meghan would point out that she noticed that her and Harry weren't just being thrown to the wolves, that they were actually being fed to them, as the royal family never actually wanted to protect them, and the couple, when they realized that, made the decision to leave the royal family for good. And number 2, refused to get Meghan help. During an interview with Oprah, Meghan would share that she joined the royal family and she started to have these pretty dark thoughts that made her think about taking her own life. In the heartbreaking scenes, Meghan would recall that this was the moment she realized she couldn't go on being a member of the royal family. Meghan would admit to Oprah that she was having thoughts and she reached out to the senior royal staff for help, but she was denied any type of treatment. Meghan would then say, "It was all happening just because I was breathing. I was ashamed to admit it at the time and to admit it to Harry because of how much he lost. He suffered, but I knew I didn't want to be here anymore." When it finally became a clear, constant thought, that's when Meghan admitted that she needed help. However, when she reached out for help, it would be stated that there was no help available for her. When she went to Human Resources, she said, "I need help. In my old job, there was a union that protected me. They said my heart goes out to you, but you're not a paid employee of the institution." Meghan would then reveal that she was having these dark thoughts and the only one who helped her was actually one of Princess Diana's friends. And at number 1 today, we have the palace took Meghan's passport and keys. When Meghan joined the royal family, she had to give up several personal items after marrying into the British royal family. When Meghan opened up about how she was feeling unsupported when she reached out to get help after she had struggles with her mental health, she then was feeling really ashamed to admit it, and she had a problem because it was scary to know that she was having these constant thoughts that were about her taking her own life. While the star said that she wanted to go somewhere, she was unable to do so. She couldn't just call an Uber to the palace, and when she joined the royal family, that would be the last time she saw her passport, driver's license, and keys, as she had to hand them over. Now, royal experts have shared why the palace may have done this. It's actually been proven that it's a pretty logical reason why it was most likely done. When Meghan had to hand over her driver's license, it would have been done under the security rules, as if she went out driving by herself, she wouldn't be protected. Her other documents would have been taken and kept in a safe to ensure that important documentation wouldn't be misplaced and that it would have been available if she needed it. So if she needed any of these items, all she had to do was ask for them and they would have given them to her. Starting off our list today at number 10, we have she's an American. You want to know what every country has in common except for the United States? Well, apparently for some odd reason everyone hates Americans. While it's definitely rude to dislike someone based on where they're from, it still hasn't stopped people from stereotyping the actress into a certain category. When it comes to the Brits though, they have a strong dislike for Meghan, especially for this reason. Unlike the reception of the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, who belongs to an aristocrat British family, Meghan Markle received a cold and hostile reception, not only from the public but also from the royal family. While Meghan was born in America and comes from an ordinary background, she supposedly failed to meet the conservative criterions of the Britons, and this could be one of the reasons why everyone hates her. Number 9. Twisted family history. While the British royal family tends to maintain a clean and pure image of the monarchy, mostly because they pay media outlets not to run with their stories. The press has painted them to be innocent little angels. However, we all know that's not the case, as there's a lot of darkness when it comes to the royal family history. But recently, they have been painted to look like heroes that have a close bond and relationship with their other family members. Meghan Markle, on the other hand, has more of a twisted history when it comes to her family, as her approach to having a relationship with them is very unconventional. Not only has the ex-actor broken old ties she had with her father, but her relationship with her sister is also distant and remote. That being said, her relationship with her family doesn't meet the conventional requirements of the public, as we all couldn't stand it when she used the media to embarrass her father, and in the process, the way she chose to air out her family's dirty laundry, even if they weren't getting along, it just wasn't the right thing to do. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't have to wonder what we might just cover next. Number 8. The dollar store version of Princess Diana. Since Meghan and Harry sat down for their tell-all interview with Oprah, many people have weighed in on the debate and have claimed that the Duchess has attempted to garner sympathy from viewers by pointing out that there has been a lot of similarities between her and Princess Diana. But the fact she's trying to claim that she went through exactly what Diana went through is completely wrong, because each of their stories are different, and the fact that she's trying to become Diana is just as creepy as the time she admitted she kept Diana's hair near her pregnancy test. Meghan was definitely smart with the interview, because she knew that there was no better way to get viewers to empathize with her than suggesting suffering similarities to an icon of a global dimension. But even after the interview, from time to time we see Meghan recreating Diana's looks, and every time it's made us realize that her obsession with wanting to be Diana is just a little too much. Number 7. Privileged but plays the victim. So despite Meghan being able to gain an insane amount of wealth, fame, and a high social status through her marriage to Prince Harry, Meghan Markle often still portrays herself in podcasts, documentaries, and interviews as somebody who has been treated unfairly not only by the public but also by the royal family. And with saying this, Meghan's actions can come off as incongruous to many, as a lot of people struggle throughout life without all of the resources that Meghan possesses. While it seems clear from her media output that Meghan wants to portray herself as a strong person who got to where she is through her own efforts for her fame, it was largely achieved through her marriage, and she comes across as being insecure and vindictive when she tries to garner sympathy from the public. 6. Controlling and bullying. Since the beginning, critics of Meghan Markle have consistently been accusing the Duchess of not only being controlling but also being manipulative, particularly towards her husband Harry. Whenever we've seen the two sit down for an interview, it's clear that she is the one that has a tendency to dominate the conversation, and she is constantly seeking to have the limelight all to herself. But not only that, but the staff who worked in the royal household and had to tend to Meghan have also complained about how they were bullied by Meghan, as according to a report that appeared in the Times, after emails that were written by a former Kensington Palace communication secretary named Jason Now has suggested that the Duchess has also displayed totally unacceptable behavior. In the end, Meghan would have her press team issue a statement about all the bullying allegations, and since she's been trying to play that all this was leaked in an attempt to smear her name, but I don't think any of us believe that. She's just downright mean. Number 5. Reason behind the royal split. Back in January of 2021, Meghan and Harry would jointly announce that they would be exiting from the royal family. In the process, they would also announce that they would be leaving their royal duties and privileges behind so they could be more financially independent. When the couple took to their Instagram accounts to say, "We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family and work to become financially independent while continuing to support Her Majesty the Queen," the British public began to blame the Duchess rather than looking at the reasons to what drew Meghan and Harry to make this decision and take it seriously. However, after they left the royal family, Harry and Meghan did nothing to support the Queen, and instead they started signing up for interviews, documentaries, shows. They even started writing books where they aired out all of the royal secrets and problems just so they could make money. And behind it all, it's clear Meghan was behind all of these business moves, as she was the one who talked majority of the time in the interviews while Harry sat there being quiet with blank facial expressions. Number 4. Hypocritical. The Duchess of Sussex has played an active role in promoting various causes which include environmental, social, political, and anti-bullying. However, it has led to backlash in certain quarters, with some people claiming that she doesn't practice what she preaches. Examples of her alleged hypocrisy include: A. She bullied palace staff members by making them cry and quit their jobs. B. Extorting about about the environment while flying around the globe in private jets. C. Claiming that she's very ordinary while spending lavishly on clothing and housings and living extravagantly. D. Gaining fame and wealth from her association with the British royal family while constantly attacking them. Meghan Markle isn't any of the things she stands for, which is honestly just sad, and it proves that we just can't trust anything she says, as the path she's on to self-destruction, and she acts like she's never even heard of King Midas, but she probably should take note from that. Number 3. Establishment. It's clear that the royal family are very much on top of the British establishment, despite their reticence to respond directly to criticism in the public. They do have an enormous amount of power at their disposal. This doesn't just consist of their own wealth and status, but also includes the resources of the nation state that they are head of. With saying that, there has always been this notion that Meghan Markle was an outsider when she married into the royal family. And because of this, she herself has even stated that she has always felt like she was never truly welcome by anyone. However, a lot of people, especially people in the UK, have automatically taken the side of the royal establishment, and this translates into expressing antipathy towards Meghan, which has left her to feel like she is David and Goliath. But it hasn't exactly always been this way, as everyone used to actually love her, including the royal family, until the bullying allegations emerged, and then after that, everything took a sharp turn and we all went on the side of the royal family. But that's just how the establishment works, right? Number 2. Social status. For someone who pushes an egalitarian agenda, Meghan Markle can seem at times to be excessively concerned with the social status of herself and her family. She seems to desire the standing that goes with being royal without wanting all the baggage that comes along with it. While Meghan has claimed that she doesn't want to be royal or have her royal duties, during interviews she has expressed how upset she is that her family wouldn't be given security, and that she was furious that when she found out her children, Archie and Lilibet, wouldn't be given royal status because the Sussexes were not working royals. Meghan's always wanted to be famous. That has been her dream from the start, and when her modeling career didn't work out, she turned to Deal or No Deal, and when that didn't work out, she turned to acting, and when her acting career turned out to be a major flop despite her role in the hit Canadian show Suits, when she found out Harry was single, she jumped on it and manipulated him into loving her, and as soon as she entered into the royal family, she got noticed and she loved every part of it, but she knew she didn't want to be forgotten, so she started to stir the pot, and that's exactly what she did to get the level of fame she has today. And coming in at number 1 today, we have Against Royal Traditions. When it comes to her style, Meghan Markle has always had a habit when it comes to breaking royal traditions. With the Duchess loving dark nail polish, collarbone bearing necklines, and pantsuits, she has caused the media to go bananas every time she has gone against royal protocols, whether it's with her outfits or with her email schedule. Inside the palace though, the narrative is totally different. One thing that has come to light in recent years is that Meghan Markle does not shy away from listening to her heart, as she has gone on to marry into the British family to making a mega exit. And because this happened, she has been heavily criticized and condemned for breaking royal traditions. While there's definitely no book on royal etiquette, Meghan has chosen to do things a little differently, and in the process, she has caused a lot of people to look down on her and criticize her for everything she does.